Wars do not always begin with explosions. Sometimes they begin with signals, and tonight, those signals started appearing over the Middle East. Before sunrise, an armored convoy entered a base hidden deep in the desert. No media was present, only quiet movement behind steel gates. Minutes later, fighter jets began launching. This did not look like training. It looked like the opening move of something larger. Inside command centers, analysts noticed unusual patterns. Air activity was rising fast. Several nations were suddenly watching the same region. At sea, warships quietly changed course. Helicopters lifted from their decks. The ocean itself was beginning to look tense. Inside intelligence headquarters, access levels changed. A classified door opened, and the first real briefing began. Encrypted reports arrived from multiple directions at once. Different agencies were seeing the same thing. Something dangerous was starting to move. Drone surveillance confirmed the suspicion. Convoys were moving across remote desert routes, and the numbers were increasing. Emergency calls began inside government buildings. Leaders were pulled into private meetings before dawn. No one wanted the public to know why. One by one, black vehicles entered heavily protected compounds. The message was obvious. Something serious had already begun behind closed doors. Attention shifted toward the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage carries a huge share of the world's oil. If war touches this route, the whole planet feels it. Military satellites tightened their focus on the region. Every road, runway, and base became visible. Nothing important could hide now. Missile defense units were quietly activated. These systems are not used casually. They are prepared when a first strike is feared. Heavy armor began repositioning across strategic ground. Tanks rolled through the desert in formation. This no longer felt like routine movement. Transport aircraft started landing with equipment and supplies. The deliveries were fast and organized. That usually means extended operations are being prepared. Inside the war room, routes and borders lit up across giant displays. Every point on the map carried a risk. Every mistake could trigger a chain reaction. Mid-air refueling operations began. That means aircraft are being kept active for longer missions. The skies were being prepared for constant watch. Infrared systems took over as darkness spread. Vehicles still moving at night appeared clearly on thermal screens. The pattern was too coordinated to ignore. At sea, fleets tightened their formation. Air patrols continued above them. The region's pressure was now visible from sky to water. Then analysts noticed the most troubling detail. Movements were happening across several areas at the same time. That level of coordination changes everything. Recon aircraft pushed deeper into surveillance corridors. Their cameras tracked columns of movement below. The buildup was becoming harder to deny. Mobile radar systems were deployed across forward positions. These units control the sky before conflict expands. Combat readiness was quietly rising. Helicopters arrived at temporary field bases. Teams unloaded secure communication systems. The region was being wired for rapid command. Armored units formed defensive lines across key approach routes. Their guns stayed trained on open ground. Commanders were preparing for the worst while hoping for less. Night operations continued under bright floodlights. Crates, systems, and supplies kept arriving without pause. The pace suggested urgency, not caution. The tactical map grew more crowded by the hour. New markers appeared near borders and choke points. Each new signal narrowed the space for peace. Naval units moved closer to sensitive sea routes. These waters can decide the fate of global trade. A single clash here could shake the world economy. The surveillance net widened into mountain corridors. Thermal imaging revealed movement under darkness. Even the quietest routes were no longer quiet. Fighter patrols held their lines in the sky. Pilots watched for any sign of sudden escalation. One wrong encounter could start something irreversible. From orbit, the region was watched without interruption. Space-based surveillance fed raw intelligence into command rooms. Decision-makers were now seeing events unfold live. Ground convoys pushed deeper into strategic territory. Personnel carriers moved with precision and protection. This was preparation with purpose. Engineers assembled mobile interceptor launchers. These systems exist to stop incoming fire within seconds. Their presence revealed how seriously the threat was being taken. Behind sealed doors, national leaders reviewed the latest intelligence. No one in those rooms misunderstood the risk. A single bad decision could ignite the entire region. Night patrols stretched across sea lanes and coastlines. Searchlights swept through the darkness. Every movement was now treated like a possible threat. By nightfall, every major intelligence network was watching. Troops had moved, fleets had shifted, and aircraft remained active. The only question left was how far this would go. By the third phase of the crisis, the buildup could no longer be hidden. Satellite networks were now capturing large convoys moving across the desert. Armored vehicles stretched across miles of remote highway. Helicopters circled above the formations, providing constant surveillance. Dust clouds followed the advancing units across the open terrain. From the ground, the movement looked methodical and controlled. But analysts studying the satellite feeds understood the deeper meaning. This was no longer preparation. This looked like positioning. Across regional air bases, air operations intensified dramatically. Fighter squadrons launched in coordinated waves rather than isolated patrols. Jets climbed aggressively into the sky while maintaining formation. Radar towers tracked dozens of aircraft signals simultaneously. Pilots scanned the horizon for unexpected encounters. Air superiority would become critical if conflict erupted. Every aircraft now represented both protection and deterrence, and the skies were becoming increasingly crowded. Naval forces also expanded their operations across surrounding waters. Destroyers and cruisers moved carefully along critical sea routes. Helicopters circled above the fleet, scanning the ocean surface. Radar towers searched the horizon for approaching vessels. These waters carry some of the world's most valuable shipping traffic. Energy supplies move through them every day. If conflict reached these routes, the consequences could spread globally. For now, the fleets remained ready. Missile deployments became one of the most concerning developments. Mobile launchers moved across open desert and positioned themselves carefully. Soldiers assembled radar and targeting systems nearby. These weapons possess enormous strategic power. Their range can reach targets hundreds of miles away. Once launched, they leave little time for response. That reality raised the stakes dramatically. Every commander understood the danger. Deep inside command centers, the regional map looked increasingly complex. New signals appeared across several borders simultaneously. Satellite feeds updated continuously across giant screens. Analysts moved quickly between workstations discussing developments. Military leaders debated possible scenarios. Some hoped diplomacy might still calm the crisis. Others feared the buildup had already gone too far. The next few hours could change everything. Remote mountain corridors also began showing signs of activity. Recon drones flew slowly above valleys, searching for movement. Thermal imaging revealed vehicles traveling along narrow roads. Patrol units moved carefully through steep terrain. These routes have played important roles in past conflicts. Controlling them can influence entire campaigns. For that reason, commanders watched them closely. Nothing in the region remained unnoticed. Air patrols expanded across several sensitive air corridors. Fighter formations crossed the sky in disciplined patterns. Radar stations monitored every signal entering the region. Ground crews continued fueling aircraft for extended missions. Pilots understood the seriousness of the situation. The skies were becoming increasingly controlled. Across surrounding waters, naval fleets strengthened their positions. Warships moved steadily across major maritime routes. Helicopters scanned the sea surface for unusual activity. Radar towers searched distant horizons. These fleets guarded some of the world's most critical shipping lanes. The ocean itself had become part of the crisis. Ground forces continued pushing deeper into strategic territory. Long convoys crossed desert highways carrying troops and equipment. Helicopters followed above them, providing security. The formations stretched across miles of open terrain. The buildup was becoming impossible to ignore. Missile units reached their designated positions across the desert. Soldiers assembled targeting systems beside launch vehicles. Radar networks connected the weapons to command centers. These systems possess enormous strategic reach. Their deployment dramatically increased regional tension. Border mountains became another focus of surveillance. Drones scanned deep valleys where vehicles moved quietly. Patrol trucks followed narrow roads carved into the terrain. Soldiers watched every movement from elevated ridges. These routes had long strategic importance. Cargo aircraft continued arriving across regional air bases. Crates of equipment and supplies were unloaded rapidly. Military trucks carried the cargo toward storage zones. These shipments strengthened operational capability. Logistics quietly powered the entire buildup. Air patrols intensified again as daylight continued. Jets crossed sensitive corridors while radar systems followed them. Pilots monitored the horizon for unexpected contact. Every aircraft remained ready for rapid response. Coastal waters were now under heavy patrol. Naval vessels guarded harbors and shipping routes. Helicopters scanned the sea surface continuously. Every vessel approaching the coastline was monitored carefully. Heavy armor reinforced defensive lines across the desert. Tank battalions positioned themselves along elevated terrain. Radio communication linked each unit together. Helicopters monitored the area from above. Above the planet, surveillance satellites watched the region constantly. Ground stations processed enormous streams of data. Analysts studied the images carefully. Patterns of movement were becoming clearer. Night operations expanded across remote installations. Drones monitored the bases silently from above. Thermal cameras revealed movement across the compound. Security patrols guarded every entrance. Fighter jets landed on illuminated runways at night. Ground crew guided aircraft toward parking positions. Radar tower rotating beside runway lights. Fuel trucks driving toward parked jets. Air bases remained active through the night. Across remote desert highways, military convoys continued their advance. Drones followed the formations from above, capturing every movement. Armored vehicles moved steadily through open terrain. Helicopters circled the convoy, providing security from the sky. These movements suggested careful positioning. Air operations remained active throughout the evening. Fighter aircraft crossed strategic airspace in tight formation. Radar systems monitored every signal entering the region. Ground crews worked quickly to prepare additional aircraft. Every flight carried strategic importance. Naval forces continued strengthening their defensive presence. Warships moved carefully across sensitive sea corridors. Helicopters observed the surface of the ocean from above. Radar towers scanned distant shipping lanes. These fleets guarded critical trade routes. Missile defense systems were placed on full operational alert. Radar antennas rotated continuously, scanning the sky. Engineers monitored interceptor systems carefully. These defenses exist to stop incoming threats. Their activation signaled deep concern. Armored divisions reinforced defensive positions across the region. Tanks rolled across desert terrain, forming powerful defensive lines. Radio communication linked each unit together. Helicopters monitored surrounding areas from above. These formations demonstrated readiness. Supply aircraft continued arriving with vital equipment. Armored vehicles and communication systems were unloaded rapidly. Military trucks transported the cargo across busy airfields. These deliveries strengthened logistical support networks. These supply lines were expanding. Mountain border regions remained under constant surveillance. Drones scanned valleys and hidden corridors. Thermal imaging revealed vehicles traveling across remote roads. Patrol units monitored every strategic pass. These routes have played critical roles in past conflicts. Their control remains vital. From orbit, satellites continued delivering real-time intelligence. Ground stations processed thousands of images every hour. Analysts examined the data, searching for patterns. Digital maps displayed movements across several nations. The world was watching closely. As night deepened, fighter patrols returned to base. Pilots reported quiet skies across their routes. Ground crews guided aircraft along illuminated runways. Fuel trucks prepared them for the next mission. Air bases remained active even through the late hours. Temporary command posts appeared across remote terrain. Communication teams deployed mobile antenna systems. Convoys paused briefly before continuing. These posts allowed commanders to coordinate operations. Every unit remained connected to central command. Coastal patrols continued across sensitive waters. Searchlights swept across the dark ocean surface. Radar systems tracked vessels. Crews remained alert throughout the night. These patrols protected strategic harbors and shipping lanes. Inside command centers, intelligence teams worked through the night. Satellite feeds continued updating across large display screens. Officers reviewed every signal carefully. Radar systems tracked aircraft movements. Each piece of information mattered. Remote bases remained under constant watch. Drones monitored activity. Thermal cameras detected movement. Security patrols guarded every entrance. The region remained on alert. Military planners were clearly preparing for possible escalation. Missile defense networks stayed active through the night. Radar antennas continued scanning the sky for threats. Engineers monitored systems. These installations represented the final line of defense. Their presence reflected deep concern among leaders. Despite the tension, cities across the region continued their routines. Traffic moved across bright highways and crowded streets. Families gathered in homes and cafes. From the ground, life appeared normal, but military forces surrounded these cities quietly. Late into the night, command centers remained active. Analysts reviewed the latest intelligence reports. Digital maps displayed shifting positions. Every signal required careful interpretation. The situation remained unresolved. No one could predict the next move. By the end of this phase, the Middle East stood on a fragile edge. Military forces were positioned across land, sea, and sky. Command centers watched every signal across the region. The balance had never been more delicate. By the final phase of the crisis, the region had reached a dangerous balance. Military bases across the Middle East were fully active. Convoys moved steadily across desert highways while helicopters lifted into the sky. From above, the scale of the buildup became impossible to ignore. Every movement suggested readiness for something larger. Air patrols expanded even further across regional skies. Fighter squadrons launched in rapid succession. Pilots maneuvered across vast air corridors while radar systems tracked every signal. Air superiority remained the most critical factor. Naval forces maintained powerful formations across nearby waters. Warships guarded shipping lanes vital to global trade. Helicopters monitored the ocean surface from above. Radar towers scanned the horizon for approaching vessels. The ocean had become another layer of the crisis. Missile units remained among the most sensitive elements of the buildup. Launch vehicles stood ready across isolated terrain. These systems possess enormous destructive capability. Their presence dramatically raised the stakes. Deep inside command centers, the situation appeared extremely delicate. Satellite feeds displayed movements across several countries. Analysts worked continuously to interpret the signals. Military leaders discussed possible responses. Every decision carried enormous consequences. Border regions remained under intense surveillance. Drones scanned valleys where vehicles moved quietly below. Thermal imaging revealed activity even in remote terrain. These routes could influence future operations. Supply operations continued across regional airfields. Cargo aircraft delivered vehicles, equipment, and systems. Logistics networks strengthened the entire military presence. These supply chains allowed forces to remain prepared. Air patrols intensified once again. Fighter jets crossed strategic air corridors while radar systems tracked them. Pilots remained alert for any unexpected signal. The sky had become one of the most sensitive domains in the crisis. Night patrols expanded along critical coastlines. Naval vessels guarded harbors and shipping routes. Searchlights swept across the water searching for movement. Every vessel approaching the coast was monitored carefully. Heavy armored units reinforced their defensive formations. Tank battalions aligned across open terrain. Radio communication connected every unit. Commanders remained ready for any scenario. Heavy armored formations secured defensive positions across the desert. Tank battalions moved along elevated terrain. Communication systems connected every vehicle. Helicopters monitored the landscape. Commanders wanted every approach route protected. Ground convoys continued advancing across remote highways. Drones observed the formations silently from the sky. Armored vehicles carried equipment and personnel. Helicopters followed closely. Every movement was part of a larger strategy. Air patrols remained constant across regional skies. Fighter jets maneuvered while radar systems tracked them. Pilots scanned horizons for signals. Ground crews worked continuously, preparing aircraft for the next mission. Warships guarded the strategic sea routes surrounding the region. Naval formations moved through international waters. Helicopters monitored the ocean surface. Radar towers scanned distant shipping lanes. Missile defense networks remained active. Radar antennas scanned the sky continuously. Engineers monitored interceptor systems. These installations represented the region's last defensive barrier. Logistics operations continued without pause. Cargo aircraft delivered supplies and equipment. Ground crews unloaded shipments. Military trucks carried the cargo towards storage areas. Logistics operations continued without pause. Border regions remained under heavy surveillance. Drones scanned valleys and hidden corridors. Thermal imaging revealed vehicles moving through remote terrain. Patrol units guarded the passes carefully. High above the planet, satellites continued monitoring the region. Ground stations processed intelligence data. Analysts studied digital maps showing new movements. Every signal shaped the evolving picture. Air patrols returned to base after long missions. Pilots landed carefully under runway lights. Ground crews prepared aircraft for deployment. Air bases remained active through the night. Naval patrols guarded coastal waters. Searchlights swept across the dark sea surface. Radar systems tracked every vessel approaching. Crews remained alert throughout the night. Inside command centers, analysts reviewed updates. Satellite feeds refreshed across displays. Officers discussed the evolving situation. Each new signal required immediate analysis. Remote bases remained under full alert. Drones monitored activity across the installations. Thermal imaging revealed movement within the compound. Security patrols guarded every entrance. Night convoys moved toward forward positions. Helicopters escorted vehicles across open terrain. Headlights stretched across the dark highway. Every movement followed a precise schedule. Missile defense systems stayed active through the night. Radar antennas searched the sky. Engineers monitored systems carefully. These installations remained ready for response. Air patrols continued as evening approached. Jets crossed strategic corridors. Radar systems followed every signal. Air superiority remained a priority. Naval fleets maintained positions. Warships guarded global shipping routes. Helicopters monitored the ocean surface. The sea remained calm but heavily watched. Armored battalions continued strengthening defensive lines. Tanks formed powerful formations. Radio communication connected every vehicle. Helicopters scanned the surrounding area. Transport aircraft continued moving supplies. Cargo flights departed one after another. Ground crews prepared shipments. Logistics operations supported every deployment. Despite the tension, cities continued their daily life. Traffic flowed through highways and markets. Families gathered beneath bright city lights, yet the shadow of military activity remained close. Inside command centers, the situation was analyzed. Satellite data and radar filled the screens. Officers discussed every possible scenario. The balance remained delicate. As dawn approached, the region stood on a fragile edge. Forces remained positioned across land, sea, and sky. Command centers watched every signal carefully. The world waited silently for the next move. Across the great cities of the Middle East, life continues beneath bright lights. Millions move through streets unaware. From above, the cities appear calm and vibrant, yet beyond their skylines, forces remain positioned. Stability depends on decisions made in quiet rooms. Inside command centers, the region is watched. Satellite feeds provide real-time intelligence. Analysts examine every signal. Future depends on a single decision. Officers debate possibilities while digital maps glow. In these silent rooms, the future depends on a decision. At air bases, fighter aircraft wait in silence. Pilots ready for deployment. Ground crews inspect machines. These aircraft represent enormous power, but power alone does not determine the future. Out at sea, fleets continue their quiet patrols. Warships move steadily through morning light. Helicopters scan the horizon while radar remains active. The ocean appears peaceful. Every crew member understands the balance. Across deserts and mountains, military forces remain prepared. Armored vehicles stand ready. From above, the landscape appears vast and silent. History has shown how quickly this silence can change. Restraint can be as powerful as action. As the sun rises, the region stands at a moment of choice. Decisions today echo across the world tomorrow. Military power surrounds us, but future is not written by weapons alone. Sometimes the greatest victory is not the battle that was fought, but the war that never began. By the next morning, the signals from the previous night had turned into visible movement. Satellite networks watched as long armored convoys advanced through remote desert highways. Helicopters followed closely above the formations, scanning the terrain for threats. Dust clouds stretched behind the vehicles as they moved deeper into strategic territory. From a distance, it looked organized and deliberate. Military planners around the world studied the images carefully. Something significant was unfolding across the region. Air bases across the region suddenly became far more active. Fighter jets launched in coordinated waves rather than isolated patrols. Pilots climbed high above the desert while maintaining tight formations. Radar towers tracked the aircraft across hundreds of miles of airspace. Air superiority would be critical if tensions escalated further. Every squadron remained on standby. The skies were quickly filling with movement. Naval forces also expanded their presence across nearby waters. Warships repositioned along important maritime corridors. Helicopters circled above the fleet, watching the sea surface carefully. Radar towers scanned distant maritime horizons for approaching vessels. These waters carry a huge portion of global trade. Any conflict here could affect markets worldwide. For now, the fleets remained cautious but ready. Border regions also showed signs of increasing activity. Recon drones scanned mountain valleys where vehicles moved cautiously. Thermal cameras revealed movement even in remote areas. Ground patrols navigated narrow roads through rugged terrain. These routes have long played critical roles during regional conflicts. Commanders understood their strategic importance. Every corridor was now under observation. Transport aircraft continued arriving at remote air bases. Their cargo included vehicles, communication systems, and supplies. Ground crews moved quickly, unloading equipment under tight schedules. Military trucks carried the cargo across busy runways. Logistics operations quietly powered the entire buildup. Without supply lines, military forces cannot remain active for long, and these supply lines were expanding. Inside command centers, the regional map grew increasingly complex. Satellite feeds displayed new troop movements across multiple borders. Analysts studied the screens while officers discussed strategy. Digital indicators flashed across the map, revealing expanding deployments. Military planners debated what these signals might mean. Some believed the buildup could stabilize, others feared it was only beginning. Inside command centers, the situation looked increasingly complex. Satellite feeds showed movements across several locations simultaneously. Analysts studied each signal carefully, while officers discussed strategy. Digital maps filled with flashing indicators representing troop activity. Every development raised new questions. Military planners worked continuously to understand the pattern. Air patrols expanded across sensitive air corridors. Fighter formations crossed the sky in disciplined patterns. Radar stations monitored every signal entering the region. Ground crews continued fueling aircraft for extended missions. Pilots understood the seriousness of the situation. Naval forces strengthened their presence across nearby waters. Warships moved steadily along major shipping routes. Helicopters monitored the ocean surface for unusual activity. Radar systems scanned distant maritime horizons. These fleets protected critical global trade corridors. Ground convoys pushed deeper into operational zones. Armored vehicles crossed vast stretches of desert terrain. Helicopters followed above, providing surveillance and security. The formation stretched across miles of remote highway. Every movement appeared coordinated. Missile units reached designated positions across isolated terrain. Soldiers assembled launch systems beside support vehicles. Radar networks connected the weapons with command centers. These systems possessed enormous strategic reach. Their deployment raised the stakes dramatically. Border mountains became areas of intense surveillance. Drones scanned valleys and narrow corridors below. Thermal imaging revealed vehicles moving through the terrain. Ground patrols monitored strategic passes. These routes could influence future operations. Supply aircraft continued delivering equipment to regional bases. Military trucks transported crates across busy airfields. Ground crews worked under tight schedules unloading cargo. These shipments strengthened logistical capabilities. Operations could now continue for extended periods. Air patrols intensified again as daylight continued. Jets crossed sensitive corridors while radar systems tracked them. Pilots scanned the horizon for unexpected signals. Every aircraft remained ready for rapid response. Coastal waters remained under heavy patrol. Naval vessels guarded harbors and shipping routes. Helicopters monitored maritime traffic from above. Every approaching vessel was observed carefully. Armored divisions reinforced defensive lines across open terrain. Tanks positioned themselves along elevated ridges. Communication systems linked each unit together. Helicopters monitored surrounding areas from above. Heavy armored units continued strengthening their defensive lines. Tank battalions moved carefully across elevated desert ridges. Radio communication connected every vehicle across the formation. Helicopters monitored the surrounding terrain from above. These deployments were designed to secure key ground positions. Military commanders wanted every approach route protected. High above the planet, surveillance satellites continued their silent watch. Ground stations received constant streams of intelligence data. Analysts studied digital maps showing movements across the region. Every update revealed new patterns of activity. The situation was becoming increasingly complex. Remote bases remained under constant surveillance. Drones monitored activity across the installations. Thermal imaging revealed vehicles moving through the compound. Security patrols guarded every entrance to the base. Military forces remained alert throughout the night. After long patrol missions, fighter aircraft began returning to base. Pilots landed carefully on brightly lit runways. Ground crews directed the aircraft towards secure positions. Fuel trucks prepared the jets for their next mission. Air bases remained active despite the late hour. Military convoys continued moving across remote highways. Drones followed the vehicles, capturing every movement from above. Helicopters escorted the formation through open desert terrain. Dust clouds stretched behind the advancing units. The buildup continued steadily. Air patrols continued across the region's strategic airspace. Jets maneuvered high above the clouds, maintaining formation. Radar systems monitored every aircraft signal entering the region. Ground crews worked quickly to prepare additional aircraft. Control of the skies remained critical. Naval forces guarded critical maritime routes. Warships sailed through strategic sea corridors in formation. Helicopters monitored shipping lanes from above. Radar systems searched the horizon for unusual movement. These waters carried vital global trade. Missile defense systems remained on high alert. Radar antennas rotated, constantly scanning the sky. Engineers monitored interceptor systems carefully. These defenses were prepared to respond within seconds. Their presence reflected rising concern. Armored divisions continued strengthening defensive positions. Tanks rolled across rugged desert terrain, forming strong lines. Radio communication linked every unit together. Helicopters observed the surrounding region. Commanders remained cautious but prepared. Transport aircraft delivered new equipment to regional bases. Ground crews unloaded vehicles and supplies rapidly. Trucks moved the cargo across busy runways. Logistics operations strengthened the military buildup. Supply chains remained critical. Mountain border regions remained under close surveillance. Drones scanned hidden valleys, searching for movement. Thermal cameras revealed vehicles traveling through remote roads. Patrol units guarded every strategic corridor. Nothing went unnoticed. From orbit, satellites continued monitoring the region. Ground stations processed massive amounts of intelligence data. Analysts examined digital maps, searching for patterns. The buildup remained coordinated across multiple areas. Night operations continued across busy airbases. Jets returned from patrol missions across tense airspace. Ground crews prepared aircraft for future deployments. Airfields remained active through the night. Temporary command posts appeared across the desert. Communication systems were deployed rapidly. These stations connected field units with command centers. Coordination remained essential. Naval patrols guarded sensitive coastlines. Searchlights swept across dark waters. Radar systems tracked every vessel approaching the area. Crews remained alert through the night. Inside command centers, analysts reviewed constant intelligence updates. Satellite images refreshed across massive display walls. Officers monitored every signal carefully. Each development shaped future decisions. Remote bases remained on full alert. Drones monitored the installations silently. Thermal cameras revealed activity across the compound. Security patrols guarded every entrance. Missile defense systems remained active throughout the night. Radar antennas continued scanning for incoming threats. Engineers monitored control systems carefully. These installations represented the final line of defense. Despite military tension, cities across the region continued normal life. Traffic moved across highways under bright lights. Families gathered in homes and markets. From the ground, everything seemed calm. Command centers remained active late into the night. Analysts reviewed the latest intelligence reports. Digital maps displayed the region's shifting positions. The situation remained uncertain. By the end of this phase, the region stood at a fragile balance. Military forces were positioned across land, sea, and sky. Command centers watched every signal carefully. The world waited to see what would happen next.